Hi everyone, kumusta? Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. My name is Lanie, and I'm a lawyer, business owner, and a very proud mum of two amazing little boys. I'm a second generation Filipina, born in the UK to Filipino parents, and this is my judgment-free channel for Filipinos living and working outside the Philippines who want to learn, share, and discuss important things such as money, finances, pensions, business, investments, personal development, and anything that matters to you and our community. So today I'm going to take you through my personal journey of how becoming a mother actually helped me to build and run a successful business from home. This story is about balance, growth, courage, and learning to trust yourself, even when things feel uncertain. If you're a mum or a dad thinking about starting a business, or if you've ever wondered whether you can combine career success with being truly present for your children, I hope my experience gives you both inspiration and practical insight. So, let's rewind to where it all began. In April 2017, I made one of the biggest decisions of my life. At the time, my boys were aged just 4 and 1. So you can imagine my hands and my heart were pretty full. I loved and still love being a mum, but there was a part of me that still wanted to grow professionally. Before becoming a mum, I had spent nearly 12 years building my legal career, and I didn't want to step away from that completely. But I also didn't want to miss out on the little moments, the cuddles, the funny kids' conversations, the chaos, and all the joys that come with having children. I wanted both. So I decided to take a leap, to start working as a self-employed consultant solicitor. It felt both exciting and terrifying. I was returning to work after leaving it for 5 years prior, starting from the year when I became pregnant with my eldest to when my youngest had just turned 1. So, not only were my knowledge, experience, and training slightly rusty, I was also juggling returning to work with motherhood and, at the same time, establishing myself as a self employed person. In short, I didn't have all the answers, but I had a vision. I wanted flexibility and I wanted control. And I wanted to build something sustainable, not just for me, but for my family. I knew that going back to an office in the city meant leaving home very early in the morning and then coming home after 7 p.m. when the kids were just about to go to sleep, and then feeling so tired and trying to catch up on sleep over the weekend when I should be spending quality time with my husband and our kids. I didn't want that life, but at the same time, I wanted to be able to work and also contribute financially to the household. The first thing I did was focus on getting my foundation in place. I spent hours, literally hours, working on my website, crafting my professional profile, figuring out how to explain what I do in a way that clients could relate to. At the same time, I also drafted my resume and sent these to as many law firms as I could, particularly those who were offering a fee-sharing contract. Thankfully, within a few weeks of interview rounds, I got a contract as a fee-sharing consultant with a law firm, which was crucial because it gave me access to the firm's regulatory framework and systems while still allowing me independence. And because I was just starting out, I was determined to make myself visible. I advertised everywhere: local newspapers, online directories, even on websites like Gumtree. Looking back, it was a mix of strategy and experimentation. Some ads worked and some didn't, but each effort taught me something new. And then in my very first month, I got my first 2 clients. I can't describe how excited I was. I remember thinking, okay, maybe this can really work. Of course, I also spent countless hours on the phone, sometimes giving advice for free. But that was part of the process. I was learning to return to work, learning to manage my time, learning the law, rules, and regulations, learning motherhood and parenthood, learning to juggle work and motherhood, and finding balance in between. And last, but certainly not least, learning the ropes of being self employed and running my own business. Now, let's talk about the reality of juggling motherhood with being self employed, because it's certainly not easy. And by no means do I now have all the answers. And so I don't want to sugarcoat it. As I said earlier, at the time, my boys were 4 and 1, full of energy, full of life, and not exactly interested in mummy's emails or client calls. While my husband did what he could to help out, he was also working full time in the city at the time. So we made a decision that truly saved our sanity. We hired a nanny for 4 days a week. She was wonderful. The boys went to her house and she would drop off and collect my eldest to and from school and would have both boys fed until we collected them from her house after 5 p.m. And boy, let me tell you, those hours became my sacred work time. It gave me the space to concentrate fully, and it gave them the attention and care they needed. But still, those early days were challenging. In the mornings, my husband and I would work as a team to get the boys and ourselves ready for the day. My husband would then drop the boys off at 7 a.m. to their nanny's house and then head straight to the train station to go to work. Meanwhile, I would go straight into client work at home until it was time to pick up the boys, switch into mum mode, and try to be fully present. It felt like I was living 2 lives, professional and personal, and trying to do both perfectly. But, spoiler alert, perfection doesn't exist. What I learned was to embrace being good enough, to give my best each day, and to accept that some days would be the not so good days. And you know what? That mindset shift from perfection to progress became one of my greatest business lessons. The first 2 years of being self employed were a true learning curve. I had to figure out not only how to attract clients, but also how to run a business. There's so much behind the scenes that people don't see: the admin, the marketing, the client onboarding, the finances. I remember nights when I stayed up late, trying to draft documents, conducting research, updating my website, or reviewing client files after the boys were asleep. There were countless moments of doubt, times when I thought, is this really worth it? But I kept going. I kept reminding myself, this is a long game. I wasn't building something quick. I was building something lasting. And by the end of the second year, I started to see the results. I joined another law firm and negotiated a better fee share. That single change made such a difference, not just financially, but in terms of confidence. It reminded me that we can always renegotiate our value, whether it's with employers, clients, or even ourselves. By the end of the second year, the universe gave my husband and I one of the best gifts we could ever ask for. Sadly, no, not another baby, but the next best thing: for my husband to join me and to help me with working on the business. His background is in IT or information technology, and he had also dabbled in internet or online marketing over the years. At first, he felt weird about working in immigration law, since his background was working on IT projects at big banks and financial service organizations. But he, like me, was also a keen student, and he is always willing to learn. And so day by day, he was learning the ropes and building, implementing, and iterating systems for our business. At the beginning of 2020, things were starting to take shape. I had built up a loyal client base, our systems were smoother, and I'd learned how to manage my time effectively. But more importantly, I had found my rhythm, the balance between business and motherhood that worked for me. It was also no coincidence that at the end of 2019, my husband and I had started to get into personal development again, as well as learning about business development and listening to podcasts daily, mainly for motivational reasons, but also to learn and infuse my learnings into my business and my personal life. So even when COVID hit in 2020, and my husband and I were very scared that the business would be severely affected, since travels to the UK and everywhere else in the world had stopped, it was actually in July 2020 when we began earning five-figure months. Then, in July 2021, I took a major step and registered my own limited company. That first year, I hit my first six figures in revenue. I still remember sitting at my desk when I realized what I'd achieved. It was such an emotional moment because it wasn't just about the money. It was about what it represented. The countless hours, the doubts, the late nights, they had led to something tangible. When I had my first five-figure month, I actually checked my numbers 3 times. I thought it was a mistake, but soon that became the new normal. And that was when I realized something profound. Success doesn't happen overnight, but when it does arrive, it often feels like it came all at once, even though you've been working on it for years. I remember reading about this, and it said that the reason why it feels normal when the things you hoped and prayed for suddenly manifest and you see the fruits of your labor come into your life is because you first became that person who was already in receipt or in possession of those things you desired. And so when those things manifested into my reality, I already knew I was going to have them because I had envisioned and felt it deeply in my soul. Not only did I believe in myself and my ability, I also had the unshaken faith that the universe would also have my back. From the books I've read over the years, they all teach this, that in order to have what you want in life, the desire for that thing or outcome must come first. Next, the feeling and the imagination of how it would feel when you achieve the things you want to achieve. How would you be? How would you act? What actions, decisions, habits would you have as the person who already has these things that you desire? You've probably heard this a million times, but I agree that we create our own reality. Creation happens twice, first in our mind and then in our reality. We only have to look around us to know that this is true. From the phone, where you may be watching this now, to the train, where you may be sitting now. Here's something I never expected. Motherhood didn't hold me back from success. It propelled me towards it. Being a mum taught me skills that no business course ever could. How to multitask under pressure. How to stay calm in chaos. How to empathize and communicate clearly, even when emotions run high. How to manage time with ruthless efficiency. All of these translated beautifully into business. Motherhood taught me resilience, the kind that gets you through the tough times without losing your sense of self and your sense of humor. Motherhood also gave me purpose. Every hour I spent building my business felt meaningful because I was doing it for my family, to create stability, freedom, and be an example for my boys. I wanted them to see that their mum could both nurture them and build something powerful from scratch. Fast forward to December 2023. I took another bold leap and established my own boutique law firm. By that point, I had the experience, the client base, and the confidence to stand fully on my own. This wasn't just about business expansion, it was about evolution. I wanted to create a firm that reflected my values: professionalism, accessibility, empathy, and flexibility. The beauty of running a business from home is that I can still have the best of both worlds, being there for my boys while managing a growing, successful practice. Sometimes I catch myself and think, wow, look how far you've come. If I could go back and tell my 2017 self anything, it would be this: you're going to be okay. There will be tough days, days when you feel like giving up, but every step will teach you something important. Here are some of the biggest lessons I've learned along the way. 1. Progress over perfection. You don't need everything figured out to start. 2. Ask for help, whether it's a nanny, a mentor, or a supportive friend. It's okay to lean on others. 3. Invest in yourself. That could mean learning marketing, spirituality, personal development, upgrading your tech, or taking time for self-care. 4. Know your worth. Don't undersell your skills just because you're working from home. 5. Consistency beats intensity. Doing a little every day moves you forward more than burning out once a month. And most importantly, remember that success looks different for everyone. For me, it was never just about income. It was about freedom, balance, and being present for my family. So, to all the mums watching this, whether your kids are toddlers or teenagers, I want you to know that it's possible. You can build a business that fits around your life. It won't be easy, but it will be worth it. Start where you are, use what you have, and take one step at a time. There will be days when you doubt yourself, but remember, your children are watching. You're teaching them courage just by trying. And when you look back, you'll realize that motherhood didn't slow you down. It shaped you into the person capable of doing extraordinary things. So that's my story. From being a mum of 2 little boys, working from my dining room, to now running my own boutique law firm. It's been an incredible journey, not without challenges, but full of growth, joy, and gratitude. If this video resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who might need to hear this today. And if you have questions about working as a consultant solicitor, building a business from home, or balancing motherhood and entrepreneurship, leave a comment below. I'd love to continue the conversation. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, you're capable of so much more than you think. See you in the next video.